Every marriage has 3 rings. The engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the bicker ring. We're here to settle the fights that don't matter and have no winner. It's the 3 Rings Podcast with another new argument.
Welcome once again to another episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. My name is Phil.
I'm Lauren.
And we are...
married.
Indeed. We are married. It's an entire podcast about the stupid fights that every couple has, whether you're married, whether you're engaged, whether you're just in a relationship, whether it's friends. I mean, all it takes is 2 people to have these arguments, and some of them are completely bizarre. Most of them are completely bizarre.
I mean, if you really tried, you could have them with yourself.
You could. I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of an argument, though.
I guess.
Because you're going to win no matter what, right? I would hope you're going to win no matter what. This seems like having an argument with yourself is not going to be as fun and stimulating as having it with somebody else.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe
but
not.
If this is your first time listening, well, welcome to the show, and make sure to go back and listen to previous episodes for some of these stupid fights that we've had in the past. And if this is your millionth time listening,
welcome back.
Welcome back. This week we're actually going to be talking about what is the greatest invention of all time. But before we get to this week's argument, just a little bit of what's going on with us right now. It is now the beginning of October, and we're prepping for Halloween.
Yeah.
We're surviving coronavirus.
Barely.
We're surviving downtown Louisville with everything going on with the Breonna Taylor case.
Yes.
There's a lot happening in the world.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It truly is. It really is exhausting, to the point where neither one of us are doing great on the mental health spectrum at this point.
No.
No. That's just a hard no. So anybody that's out
there... If you are doing great, if you're out there and you're doing great on the mental health spectrum, as Phil like to call it, please let me know what you're doing.
I feel like a lot of people that are doing better than us don't live here. Because, I mean, if you don't have to deal with, like, protesting and all of that on top of everything going on in the world, then I think you're doing a little bit better than we are currently. Maybe, yeah. But long and short of that, take care of yourself if you are struggling with anything mental or physical. Just be kind to your body. Take time when you need to. Okay, that's the little PSA for this show, I guess.
Yeah. I did the stereotypical thing that girls do when they're going through a mental health crisis.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Which was?
Getting bangs.
Yes, you do have bangs. You went through that phase again.
I did. I'm back. We had kind of a stupid fight this morning about it, even.
Well, here's my position on this. So the last time that you got bangs was when you made the move here, which was what? I mean, you've been here for just over a year now, right?
Yeah.
So it was.
So you were gone. I was still in Scranton, and you were here.
And you were not happy.
But I also think that was like a timing thing.
Okay, take all of that out, but the long and short of this is you were not happy with bangs, and you told me you didn't want to get bangs again.
Okay, but then I didn't.
Now you have bangs.
And then I didn't ask you, and then I asked you if they looked okay. I didn't ask you if you thought it was a good idea. I asked you how you thought they looked.
Yeah.
And I had to coerce you into expressing an opinion in which I asked, do you think they look okay? And you said yes. Yeah. And that doesn't tell me, I don't know, that was I think I had
you
to
were upset that I didn't express that I liked them or disliked.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
You just asked if they looked okay.
Haven't expressed whether you like them or not.
I'm more so doing it now just because I'm already dug in deep.
What? But that's so mean.
I think
as your wife, I care about how you think I look, and
I think that they look good, but I also want to stress that if you do not like them in a week,
you can say I told you so. I don't care. That's fine. I just want to know what you're very hung up on me not liking them. You're very hung up on that.
You like to be the person that says, hold me accountable to XYZ. And then I usually
Yeah, so
don't.
of all things to like dig your
Usually
heels
don't. So now when I'm actually doing it, you're getting
me,
upset
hold
about
me
it.
accountable so that I'm eating better. And then he watches as I eat an entire sleeve of cookies. Me, hold me accountable and make sure I don't get bangs. I get bangs and the entire world like melts around you. Like what? Like you have to be consistent.
I'm trying.
Also, like, again, you haven't told me whether or not you like them.
I just said that I like them. We'll roll the tape back literally a minute ago, and I just said it again. But that's not what we're going to argue about because
No.
this is a losing
I think
argument.
that for you, maybe.
Yes. That's why I'm pointing out that it's a losing argument.
I think
for me.
that, like, we need to. Whoa. The chair just, like, went down without me trying.
Easy now.
I didn't do anything.
This entire studio is haunted.
Yeah,
We're
I think
determining
so.
that.
But, oh my God, it happened again. I'm gonna, like, if I'm
You're
gonna
touching
fall,
something.
I'm not.
You're touching something.
I'm not.
Oh my God. Just get up and look at your chair and find out what the hell is happening. with
I'll do it in
all
a
of that.
second. I'll do it in a second.
Make your little point so that you can look at the chair here.
I think we need to work on words of affirmation.
Okay.
Because that is my love language, but you are not an effusive person.
No, I'm not.
So we need to work on that a little
Right.
bit.
We will
I
find
feel
it.
like an asshole being like, I need you to tell me I'm pretty more, but like that's where we're at.
I mean, if you just throw it out there, I can do that.
I need you.
I don't-
I feel like such a dick, but
don't.
I need you to tell me that I'm pretty more.
Okay.
Okay.
We will find common ground on this. So all right, we'll move past that. You take a look at your fucked up chair over there, and I will let people know what we're doing this week with this week's argument. Not about bangs. We're not arguing about bangs.
We could do an episode on bangs.
No, we're not going to. So this week we're going to be talking about what is the greatest invention of all time. I mean, taking it all the way back to the cavemen era until now. What is the greatest invention of all time? And there are a lot to pick from. And we were having this conversation yesterday a little bit, and I told you what I picked to start off so that we didn't pick the same thing.
Do you have a guess as to what I'm picking?
I don't really. I think you're gonna go kind of along the same lines as me with something that's more technology based, because
okay.
I picked for the greatest invention of all time. I picked the internet.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. What did you pick?
Your guess is interesting. Why did you think I was going to pick something technology based?
Well, I think since our world revolves so much around technology right now, I think that's just it almost feels like almost a given, or like this is just going to be like one of the easier things to pick. So
I picked the printing press.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, old school versus new school.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The greatest invention of all time. So
Pretty much. The
right.
original internet.
the original internet. Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. All
Okay.
right, well, this will be interesting.
Yeah,
then.
you go for it. What are your 3 points?
Okay, so I think that the internet is the greatest invention of all time. Number one, because of the whole technological revolution that happened because of the access to the internet. Number two, for spreading information. And number three, with social media connection. Even though we'll get into a little bit of the good and bad of social media. But those are kind of my main three. So do you want me to just dive into this, or do you want to counter with your 3 points?
No, go ahead and dive in.
All right, we'll dive right in. Why the internet is the greatest invention of all time. Again, number one, with the technological revolution. So back in 1995, essentially, is kind of when all of this was starting out. So the internet was being developed bit by bit for different platforms in the 60s and 70s, but it was really 1995 when the internet as we originally knew it was really taking shape with the whole HTTP hypertext transfer protocol setup. So
That's what that stands for?
yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Hypertext transfer protocol, HTTP. The internet as we pretty much know it today. So since 2007, 97% of all telecommunicated information is transferred over the internet. So in the 13 years since that survey, I would guess that it's probably even higher at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, between 97 to 100%. I mean, it's probably not.
Do you remember
100.
when you got the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you?
I think I was probably 7 or 8.
I think I was 7 too.
So,
yeah.
Well, we might have had it just before then, but I remember being able to use it, and it's like, okay, like you can go online using like the AOL dial-up and all of that. So I want to say around like 97, 98. Like,
yeah, I think I was
right around there.
I think I was 7.
Yeah. So anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. So I completely lost where I originally was, but over 1/3 of the population in the world has access to or uses the internet every single day. It sparked email, sparked video calls, social media, which I'll get into later, instant messaging, which was huge for the time and day, forums, blogs, tons of stuff, all originated because of the internet. It's also responsible for our 4G and 5G connections for our phones, for file sharing, FTP sites, for streaming with Netflix, with Spotify, whether it's visual or audio, any of that. Over 4.5 billion people use the internet, and according to a research study from We Are Social's 2020 digital report. Okay, so that's 2/3 of the population, essentially 4.5 billion.
Yeah.
Out of, we're at 7 billion, somewhere around there.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know where we're at, but anyway, it sparked political revolutions in countries. It created philanthropic opportunities with donations and crowdfunding, and it changed the way that we live our lives today. That's just the technological revolution with how the internet has changed everything. So the big part of all of that is my second point, which is the spreading of information. So kind of right there at the end, I was talking about political revolutions, talking about social media earlier. So being able to share information instantly has been kind of a huge part of how the internet functions today, but also how it was starting out in the beginning. So we have the answers to pretty much any solvable problems right at our fingertips with being able to connect through computers, through our phones, anything like that. So while there are downfalls to all of that, the internet has given a voice to the voiceless. So again, back to political revolutions, back to countries that citizens don't have freedom of speech. The internet has been able to provide some of that to those places. It's provided quicker ways to solve problems and gather new ideas, has created new ways to help bring information and ideas to those that never would have had the opportunity in the past as well. So
yeah, okay.
All right. I'll just keep going.
I'm like mentally like
just like processing everything that the internet does.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while to process everything the internet does.
Yes. My brain does not run on 5G.
No. It's running on 3G?
Yeah.
Dial-up?
Yeah, it's a dial-up today. Yeah.
Okay. So point number 3, my last point, social media connection. So whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing,
I'm going mostly bad, but yeah.
I mean, good or bad, they're both kind of true. Social media connection and the revolution that has taken place through the internet will likely never be seen again with everything that's going on, with there being essentially minimal restrictions on the internet right now, and government finally starting to step in with regulations, all of that. The internet as we see it currently, this will never happen again. So in just 25 years, essentially, think of how much the world has changed because of that, and mainly with the introduction of social media over the past 15 years, with being able to essentially, on the good side, stay in touch with people through long distances. On the complete polar opposite, wrong side of that, meddle with political elections.
Yeah,
and,
right.
False
The
information.
monetization of like people and
Yeah.
their like humanity, essentially.
Yeah, all of that. So, people around the globe right now, they're able to stay connected and, be able to access information and communicate with one another in ways that was never possible in the past. So, good and bad when it comes to social media, but I will end all of my stuff kind of the broad overview of why the internet is the greatest invention of all time. In 2006, USA Today made their list of what would be the new 7 wonders of the world. And guess what was included?
The internet?
The internet.
But how do you, the internet's not like a location. How do you, it's not something you can go and, I guess it is something you can go and see, but.
I mean, in a sense, if you connect to the internet, that's what it is.
So here's my thing. Here's my counter to everything that you said.
All right.
I think that the internet is extremely helpful. I don't think that the internet is necessary.
Okay.
You can survive without the internet. You'll be fine.
Yes.
Literacy is something that you need. So, it's...
Depends.
Yeah, there are illiterate people, yes.
There are illiterate people, but some trades and stuff like that, you don't need to know how to,
but, I think it's more necessary than having the internet. So that's kind of where the printing press, selection came from.
Yeah.
So my 3 points, getting into it. It's funny because a lot of your points are things that could be transferred over to the printing press.
Yeah.
So my 3 points. 1, it increased literacy in the middle and lower classes, which was something that prior to the invention of the printing press was not happening.
Okay.
It allowed for religious freedom and scientific advances. Okay. And then without it, the modern world as we know it would be decades behind where it was.
Fair.
Or where it is.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have the internet had the printing press not become a thing. So.
Yeah, we all right, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
So the printing press was invented by Johann Gutenberg around 1440.
Indeed.
So it's
way to go, Johann.
Yeah, way to go, Johann. So it's old.
Yes. Yes, it is very old. Much older than the internet.
Yeah. So. Prior to its invention, books were hard to come by because you either had to extremely slowly do type lettering or you had to completely copy books by hand.
Yeah.
So the only people who had access to books and therefore an education were the upper class because the middle and lower classes were not going to be able to afford a book. No. Most of them, hadn't even seen a book in with the exception of maybe their Bible at church, which was held by which was owned by the church.
Yes.
So with the invention of the printing press, it became extremely easy to print books in mass and therefore disperse them easily and cheaply to the masses. So without the printing press, you and I, as, middle class people, would not have access to education. We would not be literate. We would not have the opportunities that we do.
No, and this isn't a great counter on my part, but it is a counter. So, yes, without the invention of the printing press, things like the internet would not exist. But I would argue that because of the internet, the tools for improving education, literacy, all of that have improved in places that wouldn't have necessarily gotten it before.
Yeah, that's it's because of the printing press walked so that the internet could run. You know what I mean?
I'm not arguing.
That's where
that
I'm
point,
I think that the printing press is more important than the internet because we were surviving like without the internet. I think we might be one of the last generations that like remembers a time before the internet.
Yeah, just barely.
Yeah. So like we were surviving, we were getting by. People were educated, people were, you know, obtaining degrees. There were scientific advances being made. I mean, the internet is proof of that. But you had to have the printing press first.
Yeah.
So arguably more important.
You had to have fire to survive first.
Oh my god, that's
You had to
like
have
this
the
is like
wheel
that was like not even like those are not even like related. Like that's like
I understand.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like,
moving on to
some
my
things
second
are
point.
going to lead to others.
Yeah, moving on to my second point. It allowed religious freedoms and scientific advances. So again, like I said, the church held the Bible. The masses couldn't read the Bible. Therefore, all of the information that came from the Bible was being filtered by the church.
Yeah.
So the church could essentially tell the masses whatever they wanted, because it's not like it's not like the congregation could go and like fact check what was being said.
Yeah.
So like after the printing press and after Bibles were like widely dispersed, it allowed people to practice religious freedom, question what the church was telling them, and, you know, therefore, you know, get to practice the way that they wanted to as opposed to the way the church was telling them to. It also allowed for scientific advances because it gave the scientists a community in which they could disperse scientific journals to, you know, let everybody know about the scientific advances they were making, what research they were doing, what they had found, and letting other scientists build upon that. And,
which I mean is fair. And again, like, you know, your whole argument of like, you know, printing press walking so that internet can run, the internet allows for that as well, just at a faster rate. Think of all the things that have happened because of the invention of the internet. And again, I mean, you think things like social media and forums, and I mean, you look at something as simple as YouTube with the videos that can be posted for tutorials and things like that. And
but here's my thing: is like faster isn't always better. Like faster, faster
There's plenty
is
of shit on the internet.
Yeah, like faster is kind of like what's getting us into the mess that we're in now. Like it's the internet has.
I mean, it's the same with books, though. I mean, there's plenty of shitty books.
Yeah, but they didn't have the progress of books allowed for them to adapt laws at the rate that books were adapting. So like trademark laws became a thing because of the printing press. Mm-hmm. It gave them more opportunity to kind of control not control in like a bad way, but like, you know, prevent the downsides of books being printed,
which is where we're at.
Yeah,
right now with
the internet has progressed so quickly that they can't. Yeah. Like, they haven't been able to produce laws or get laws enacted fast enough to keep up with it. Like, that's part of the problem that we're having. So, like, you know, authorship became meaningful and portable because of the printing press. You could very easily get information out there, or more easily get information out there, as opposed to what they were dealing with before, which was either like oral history or, you know, education being left totally to the upper classes. Okay. So my third and final point is, without it, the modern world as we know it would not exist. We wouldn't have things like the internet. Like I said, the printing press walked so that the internet could run.
Here's a question.
Uh-huh.
Let's say that the printing press wasn't invented. There were obviously people that were educated enough that knew how to read, they knew how to write, or any of those things. Mm-hmm. So, yes, things would be very, very different in society, but do you think that those educated people wouldn't have found ways to create the things that we now have today?
I think it would have taken way longer. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, I think it would have taken way longer.
So
way longer.
I guess that's my only
We would just be decades behind where we are. Like, the printing press, because it made, like I said, authorship so easy, you know, it allowed information to get out there a lot quicker, and therefore people could make advances and build upon it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I think my thing with the internet is like we were getting on before it. We had libraries, we had ways to research, we had ways to disseminate information, we had the TV, we had telephones. Like, is it helpful? Yes. Is it necessary? No.
There's plenty of things that are helpful but not necessary. I mean, TV is helpful but not necessary.
Right. But I'm just saying, I think the printing press is more necessary than the internet.
I mean, that's the great debate, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess.
I disagree. Like, I'm not downplaying the significance of the printing press, but I think that the internet proves more useful, especially today. So
I still think that there are communities where it's easier to get books to them than it is the internet. I mean, we've kind of seen that even in the United States with the pandemic, is that there are entire communities that in our backyard that don't have access to the internet because they can't afford it.
Well,
those same people.
That was one of my points, though, that I was making.
But those same people can go to the library. The library is free. They can find the information that they need.
Libraries usually have internet connections too, these days.
But they can take them. They can take the books home.
Yeah.
So I think that I think is telling.
Okay. That's fair.
All right.
That's all
I
you
guess
got?
we leave it. Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, you can chime in and let us know what you think out of the printing press versus the internet. What's the greatest invention of all time? Or if you think it's something else, let us know that as well. If you think it's sliced bread, make your case, buddy. Let's hear it.
I could be convinced.
I really could with a good enough argument. I think I definitely could.
I just love bread. So.
I mean, that's fair. I think most people do. But find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram at 3 Rings Pod. That's THREE Rings Pod. You can chime in, let us know who you think won this argument or why we're both wrong.
Yeah. That's an option.
That truly is an option. Most of the time, that's an option. So let us know what you're thinking. And then while you're there, also go back and listen to some of our past episodes. Share us with your friends as well.
Yeah, please rate and review us.
Yes, that always helps. We're just trying to get the word out to as many people and share our stupid arguments with everyone else. So go and check out the past episodes. And next week, and I think actually the week after that, because I put down a lot of these, we're going to be doing another round of the Would You Rather.
And I have no idea what you're going to ask, so I'm excited to see.
I have a lot of them, and I think it's going to probably span 2 episodes. We'll see, though. It kind of depends on your responses. So that'll be next week. So we'll be back a week from today if you're listening on a Monday. If you're listening on a different day, every Monday is a new episode. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another weekly episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. We'll be back next week with another new argument. In the meantime, follow us on all social media platforms at 3 Rings Pod. Join in the argument and tell us who's right, who's wrong, or why you have the right answer. Whatever. Just tell us stuff.